strategic studies. This is not merely a location, it is a testament to the convergence of legacy and scholarship. The partners in this endeavor are perfectly aligned. A foundation dedicated to the perpetual pragmatic leadership, and our institute, a premier academic center whose programs in peace and conflict studies, strategic studies, and humanitarian studies are designed to diagnose and solve complex societal problems. Our keynote speaker is a giant of global diplomacy and a foremost thinker on democracy and development, Professor Ibrahim Gambari. His insights would undoubtedly illuminate our path forward. The University of Ibadan identifies and is strengthened by commitment to global standards and the production of knowledge that transcend borders. We are a community where rigorous, evidence-based research meets the urgent needs of the society. Our Institute for Peace and Strategic Studies exemplifies this mission, training the next generation of peace builders, security analysts, and policy advisors. Therefore, hosting a dialogue on reforming political parties and re-engineering citizens is not an extracurricular activity for us. It is a core academic and civic duty. The themes resonate deeply with our courses in public policy, human rights, and conflict analysis. We are the natural arena for such a non-partisan, solution-oriented conversation. As we reflect on these pathways to credibility, we do so in the spirit of Senator Ajimobi, who was known for his forthright approach to governance. The best tribute we can pay is to engage with unyielding intellectual honesty and courage. To our keynote speaker, Professor Gambari, we are eager to receive your guidance. To all our guests and discussants, I urge you to engage deeply, challenge assumptions, and propose actionable strategies. To our students, I say absorb questions and prepare to be the architects of the renewed trust we seek. Let this roundtable be a beacon, providing that from the halls of this great university, Nigerians' most pressing challenges can be met with intellectual integrity and innovative thought. I thank you all for your presence and attention. Professor Kayode Oyebode Adebowale, MNI, the Vice Chancellor, University of Ibadan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another beautiful round of applause for the representative of the Vice Chancellor, University of Ibadan, the university that Her Excellency, Chief Mrs. Florence Ajimobi has also recognized is the first and the best. Please, a beautiful round of applause. And just in case you are wondering, that's the school that I went to. But you will see, when they were singing the UI anthem, I didn't know it. Because when we were in school, we had our own school too. Is the video ready now? Okay. So that's an idea of what the Senator Abiola Ajimobi Resource Center would look like. Can we please put our hands together for the Senator Abiola Ajimobi Foundation? In keeping alive the memory of late Senator Abiola Ajimobi, you would see that the lead speaker called me and he gave me a stern warning that he doesn't want noise. This is an intellectual event. Please, we will just try to comply. I am begging you. Before we go straight to the meat of the matter today, let's also listen to the director of IPSS, Dr. Olushola O. Ishola. A beautiful round of applause for him.
Your Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, being represented, the chairman of this occasion, Aremo Olusegun Oshoba, Your Excellencies, the keynote address speaker, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, the Vice Chancellor of University of Ibadan being represented, the chairperson, Senator Abiola Ajimobi Foundation, Your Royal Highnesses, distinguished guests, members of the press, all protocols duly observed. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I welcome you to this important annual event, which has become a national ritual, powered by Senator Abiola Ajimobi Foundation, SAF, and the Institute for Peace and Strategic Studies, University of Ibadan, to further discussions on how to strengthen democracy and national development in conformity with the values of that great statesman and former governor of Oyo State, late Senator Abiola Ajimobi. It is remarkable to note that he himself started the annual roundtable during his lifetime to mark the birthdays and to remind the citizens of the need to constantly exercise vigilance to sustain Nigerians' nascent democracy. Apart from serving as a bridge between the turn and the gun, the annual roundtable also serves as a forum for intellectuals and practitioners in politics to evaluate how governance is impacting human development and how the hard-won democracy could be protected in spite of all the storms and turmoil that are pervasive in the political environment. This year's roundtable with the theme, Pathways to Electoral Credibility, Reforming Political Parties, Re-energizing Citizens, and Restoring Trust in Nigerian Democracy, is very critical and important at this time because of the preparations for another national elections in less than 18 months. The anticipation and desperations that precede elections in our country most times often leads to heated environment leading to political violence. As usual, the two organizations responsible for this annual event has taken time to brainstorm on the qualities of intellectuals engaged to participate in this roundtable, and we are confident that the outcome of this roundtable will impact policies that could guide our national electoral processes so that we can have credible election continuously into the future. On behalf of the Institute for Peace and Strategic Studies and the Senator Abiola Ajimobi Foundation, SAF, we appreciate the constant support offered by the authorities of the University of Ibadan and the family of Senator Abiola Ajimobi for the past and present timetables. We also thank the keynote speaker for this year, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, for his presence in spite of his very tight schedules. We equally appreciate all our discussants for honoring us with their presence and intellectual endowments. I hope at the end of this roundtable, the noble objectives of contributing to a viable, violent-free electoral processes and sustainable democracy that supports human development will be achieved in our country. Once again, I welcome you to 2025 Roundtable. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Dr. Olushola Ishola, Director, Institute of Peace and Strategic Studies, University of Ibadan. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we've gotten to where we are heading. And at this point, I'll urge everybody to please sit down. Gentlemen of the press, please clear the aisle. I beg of you. What we're about to do next, you don't need to cover it. I can assure you that. We're all together, I'm sure you know. Please, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And this is very deliberate and intentional because we do not want any disturbance, any talk, backslapping, greeting, like I can hear for some people now, when the lead speaker is speaking. So two things will happen. The organizing committee has decided that this is the time for hospitality. So your hospitality package will be distributed. If you came here for hospitality, you can go home after. That means you don't want to listen to the lecture. And at the same time, we'll hear a few words from late Senator Abiola Ajimobi, because beyond what we are doing here today, we are gathered in his honor. So please, Mrs. Fariloye, Okwashe and the rest, let's do it quickly in 3-4 minutes, and then we can get to the heart of the matter. Please, gentlemen, clear the aisle, please. Clear the aisle, please, please. And those of you that are making noise, once you are here for hospitality package, just go, because we want to get into serious business. All right. Audio, please. Audio, please. Please clear the aisle, Mrs. Fariloye and the rest. Let's do what we agreed to do. Thank you. Let's go, please. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Fast, 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 please. Quickly, quickly, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go.
I've always been very proud to be a son of Ibadan. Don't forget, Ibadan was founded by warriors, from various Yoruba towns and villages. We grew up together. If you see the axis of Ojaoba, those are people from Oyo town. It is undoubtedly
in the old city of Ilorin on a
Yoruba culture. Both the political capital of the Southwesterners as well as the intellectual capital of Nigeria. So the first thing we said was that there must be restoration of that glory, of that heritage of excellence. And I believe that today Ibadan is still a place that I will continue to be proud of. And that's why I'm so passionate about modernizing the place. Whilst we still keep the traditional setting, but we need to begin to migrate and modernize it. The value addition of today is the tradition of tomorrow. And tradition must not be static. It's about evolution. It continues to move. I like to continue to add value to Ibadan for it to become a cosmopolitan native setting. So we premised our development on a tripod of restoration, transformation, and repositioning. And we formed a pyramid of development that has layers. Peace and security at the background, which is the foundation. Then the flooring will now be infrastructure. Then the blocks must now be education, health, environment, industrialization, and agriculture. It's not enough to envision. It's not enough to think that you want to do this. You must have the courage to follow it through. You just push on, and in the end, you achieve your goals.
The governor has been described largely as the founder of the modern Oyo State. It's one thing to be a visionary. It's another to be able to implement your vision. And when you have somebody that is sound educationally, politically, socially, and economically, virtually everything that needs to be understood is understood.
It's a matter of leadership, and the present governor of this state has the vision to drive the state to the next level, and that is why there's these tremendous changes here and there.
He has brought into the service efficiency.
He tried to improve progress.
He has transformed the landscape of Oyo State. He has transformed governance in Oyo State. Virtually every aspect of human living in Oyo State has been touched.
Leadership, ordinarily, should be service to people. We have had so many governors in the past that serving themselves is the major thing. But when you see Excellency, he's a man of people, he's a man of integrity, and he's loved by his people.
He's our prime positive role model in Oyo State. It's a privilege to work with somebody as astute as His Excellency, as brilliant, and a visionary, a true democrat.
He actually works harder than any of us, not because of his position, but because of his own personal drive.
He's a man that is committed to whatever he wants to do, and say kudos to him for the good job that has been done in Oyo State.
So he's a very determined and very progressive governor.
I find his enthusiasm very captivating, and I think that's precisely what will drive it. Because you cannot drive this program in any state unless and until you're showing passion for it. He does that, and that's what makes the difference. He does that, and that's what makes the difference.
What inspires me mainly is success. What inspires me mainly is success. And by success, I mean the broadness of your achievement. I've always planned of your achievement. I've always planned, worked, and remained tenacious in whatever I'm doing. I believe so much that you make a living by what you take, but you make life by what you give. The most important thing is that you make sure that you continue pushing and you serve society. So for me, leadership is about envisioning and about the courage to get people there. I want to be remembered to get people there. I want to be remembered as a father of the modern Oyo State. Somebody who provided the foundation somebody who restored the legacies of Obafemi Awolowo, somebody who brought quality, who brought integrity, decency to politics in Oyo State. I want to be remembered as a good leader.
All right, don't we remember him as a good leader? Somebody who brought decency, integrity into politics in Oyo State, Senator Abiola Ajimobi. All right, we are ready now. I think we've finished all the hospitality package. In the meantime, let's recognize in our midst the Deputy Governor of Oyo State, representing the Governor, His Excellency Barrister Adebayo Lawal. Can we please put our hands together? You're welcome, sir. Thank you very much. So let's get to the reason why we are here today. As I hand over the microphone to the doyen of peace studies in Africa, Professor Isaac Olawale Albert.
Thank you. By observing that the protocol established by the president of Senator Ajimobi Foundation is very rich. She knows everybody here. So let me not create problems by pretending that I know you. So the best thing to do is probably for me to hide behind the already established protocol. It is a great thing for us to be here this morning, and I want to do two things. The first is to thank Ambassador Florence Ajimobi for bringing us together. Why are we thanking you? You have established an enduring legacy, and until last year, I did not understand, or I did not sufficiently appreciate the significance of our meeting here every year, until my mind went back to some of the centers of excellence that we visited abroad. And we were brought under this type of arrangement to visit big universities across the globe. And I think we are getting to that level when the whole world will know that the University of Ibadan has a project to be executed on December 16 every year. We pray that the good Lord will help us to raise the resources for making this an enduring legacy. We thank you, ma, for keeping the flag flying. The second point I have to make is to congratulate you, ma. I am congratulating you because you have just recently been nominated or designated as a non-career ambassador. So, part of what we'll be doing this morning is for you to be inaugurated by the biggest ambassador in this country. We have him here. So we are going to do an inauguration. Inauguration in the sense that being an ambassador is not necessarily for you to have read international diplomacy, but for you to be well informed about how a representative of a country should conduct itself. And Professor Gambari started that ritual this morning. He's our boss. When we were in the office of the Vice Chancellor, Ambassador Florence Ajimobi spoke. And then Professor Gambari was asked to speak. And he said, no, our president has spoken. That is it. Mr. Vice Chancellor, let us listen to you. That is international diplomacy. So the training has started, and I'm sure that by the time we finish this place, we finish our program today, you will give her a certificate to say she has been certified. Thank you, sir. Now, what we intend to do this morning is simply to discuss a worrisome question in African development. Since February, I've visited 8 African countries. And in each of these countries, the question is, what is the fate of democracy in Africa? I visited Tanzania shortly before the last election. From Tanzania, we went to Kenya. And when we got to Tanzania, we celebrated that country for having a female president, for having the president of the National Assembly being a woman. And we say, oh, this country has gotten it right. But imagine what happened after we left Tanzania. The entire structure broke down. And therefore, the issue of electoral credibility is a very sensitive one. And for us as a country, by the year 2027, we'll be having another election. I was at the airport in Lagos. I saw one of our leaders in this country begging America to intervene in, to tag Nigeria a country of particular concern because a party could not manage itself. And I was worried. So, the question of electoral democracy, I think, is a very sensitive one. And I'm happy that we succeeded in bringing Professor Ibrahim Gambari here. He's gone around the world. He knows what is expected of us as a country. So I will not waste your time by introducing us to this subject matter. Let him say all he has to tell us. We will all listen to the discussants. And then I, as a small boy that grew up under Professor Ibrahim Gambari, will now make my statement. Before Professor Gambari became the chief of staff to President Ibrahim Buhari, we all knew him, and I believe we still know you, sir, to be a very forthright speaker. Professor Gambari will stand before his principal and tell him the truth and nothing but the truth. But sir, I've not seen you since you served under Buhari. The last time I saw you was when General Ibrahim Absalam brought us to Mezube Farm in Mina. You know, so I hope that this morning you will address us as we knew you, and I think that will help us expand the frontiers of knowledge on how to promote electoral democracy in Nigeria. I also want to thank all the discussants that have accepted to be part of this engagement. I want to start with my sister here, Kemi Okenyodo. She has been working on issues of electoral security for more than 20 years. Let me just say 20 years, since I knew you doing this work. So she's one of the best brains in this country on issue of electoral security. So that is why we invited you, ma'am, and thank you for coming. Professor Bade Ojo is one of the best in this country when it comes to electoral reforms. In fact, he gave his inaugural lecture how many weeks ago? Okay. So we thank you for accepting this invitation. And then the third person, Professor Natalia Dajibo, is one of the best brains on identity conflicts in Africa. So basically what we have done, and that is why I started by thanking the president of SAF. What SAF has done is to take us beyond this roadside discussion of Nigerian democracy. Because I call it roadside. I sit before my television and I see people making misleading analysis that are not based on any sound theoretical framework, that are epistemological questionable, and that are very weak even in their philosophical, foundation. Now, we have scientists here. These are scientists. They will help us take a critical look at this subject matter. And by the time we leave here today, I think we would have succeeded in elevating the understanding of the problems of democracy in Nigeria. I was given 5 minutes, and I will not exceed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
In the old city of Ilorin, on a quiet November day in 1944, a boy was born into a family woven deep into the region's history. His name was
Ibrahim Abiola Gambari.
His childhood carried the rhythm of tradition and leadership. In his lineage stood the future emir of Ilorin, Ibrahim Sulu Gambari, his nephew. His path soon led to King's College in Lagos, where curiosity began to sharpen into purpose. From Lagos, he journeyed to the London School of Economics, earning a degree in economics with a focus on international relations. Across the Atlantic, Columbia University became the next chapter. There, he completed his master's degree and later a doctorate, shaping the intellectual foundation he would carry into global service. His career began in front of students, not cameras. New York, Albany, and Zaria became learning grounds as he taught and mentored across these institutions. Visiting professorships in Washington, D.C. expanded his reach even further. His research crossed continents, Brookings, the Bellagio Center in Italy, and publications that shaped thinking on Nigerian foreign policy. Nigeria called. He answered, first as Director General of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, then as Minister of External Affairs during a defining period in the nation's history. The world stage followed. In 1990, he became Nigeria's permanent representative to the United Nations, a role he carried for nearly a decade. He served under 5 different heads of state, guiding Nigeria's voice in global diplomacy. Within the United Nations, his responsibilities grew. He led UNICEF's executive board. He became the first special advisor on Africa to the Secretary General and later Under Secretary General for Political Affairs. His last assignment with the United Nations took him to Darfur, where he served as the Joint African Union and United Nations Special Representative. It was a mission marked by courage, patience, and diplomacy under pressure. Decades of global work returned home in 2020 when he was appointed Chief of Staff to the President of Nigeria. It became another chapter of national service. Beyond diplomacy, his commitment shaped institutions. He founded the Savannah Center, he co-chaired the Albright Gambari Commission, and contributed to academic leadership roles across Nigeria. Honors followed his work: Commander of the Federal Republic, Honorary Doctor of Humane Letters, Pioneer Chancellor of Kwara State University, and Pro-Chancellor of Bayero University, Kano. Through every journey, one foundation remained constant: family, a home filled with children and grandchildren, and a legacy rooted in service. This is the story of
Ibrahim Abiola Gambari.
A scholar, a diplomat, a statesman whose influence spans classrooms, nations, and generations.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, for the presentation of the lead paper for the 8th Annual Senator Abiola Ajimobi Roundtable, let's welcome Professor Abiola Gambari, CFR.
The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Tinubu, represented here by the Honorable Minister of Power, the Chairman of the occasion, whom I can confidently call my friend. We share many things in common, except that one thing is Aremo and I'm not. I'm just an ordinary prince from Ilorin, the Aremo Segun Oshoba, CFR. Deputy Governor of Oyo State, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, distinguished senators, members of the House of Rep, honorable ministers, past and present, especially my very own sister, Chief Mrs. Akande, the Deputy Vice Chancellor representing the Vice Chancellor of University of Ibadan. When we visited him in the office, he reminded me that he comes from the part of Kogi that used to be part of Kwara. And I said to him, we are open to welcome them back. I also would like to recognize the chairman of the FRSC, the First Lady of Ogun State. Please say hello to my friend and brother, His Excellency the Governor. Of course, the president of the Ajimobi Foundation. Thanks for getting us all here. And I will say a bit about that in a minute. I've been corrected. The president is represented here by Dr. Zach Adedi, chairman of FRS. I bow and tremble. I also want to say that the royal father is here. I greet you, I salute you, because if I don't think I'll be able to return to Ilorin very easily. Because in a sense, you are representing all the others who are not here, the royal father. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I want to begin by, first of all, appreciating in perpetuity the reason why we are gathered here today. The architect and builder of modern Oyo State, the late distinguished Senator Abiola Ajimobi, who was the first person to win a gubernatorial election for 2 consecutive terms in Oyo State. I did my homework. He was also known as Kosheleri of Oyo State. As governor, he established legacies on infrastructural development, peace and security, education reforms, and social renewal, among others. Equally, I want to sincerely appreciate and congratulate Her Excellency twice. First, as the First Lady of Oyo State, but now as Ambassador Designate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So combined honors, Your Excellency. You have been at the forefront of the commendable effort to sustain His Excellency Senator Ajimobi's legacies. As an old ambassador myself, 81-year-old last month, I'm still following my senior brother, Aremon Segun Oshoba. They used to say that old soldiers never die. They just fade away. For diplomats, it's worse. Old diplomats don't die. They don't even fade away. And as an old diplomat, I'm prompted by Professor Isaac Olawale Albert. Thank you very much for prompting me to take the liberty to give you, our brand new ambassador designate, a heads up about what an ambassador is expected to do. The old joke is that an ambassador is an otherwise honest person sent to lie abroad for the good of his country. It is not true. Because an ambassador who takes office and continues to lie loses the most valuable tool in the toolbox, which is your credibility. You must never lose your credibility, which means you have to tell the truth, the whole truth, and mostly nothing but the truth, mostly. You don't have to take all the truth, but whatever comes out of your mouth has to be the truth. Because if you lose your credibility, you have nothing else to lose. So what are you to do? You are sent there to defend, first of all, project a positive image of the country. You have to defend the country's national interest, defined at home. You don't define it, but as defined at home, you have to defend it to the best of your ability. And you must promote good relationship between that country of accreditation and your own. It's more difficult if you are sent to the United Nations or to African Union or European Union. Because if you are sent to a country, you have bilateral relations. The relation between yourself, your country, and the country of Africa. But if you are sent to the UN, you are accredited to 192 countries. If you are sent to the African Union, you are sent before 54 countries, and so on and so forth. But in all cases, to promote the interests of the country and explain the policies of the government so that they will understand and, if possible, accept those policies. So that's enough lesson for one day. Let me now return to why we are here. And it is with a sincere humility and deep sense of duty that I stand before you, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to highlight one of the most urgent issues facing our nation, the crisis of the trust deficit in our democratic process and institutions. 25 years after returning to civilian rule, Nigeria's Fourth Republic stands at crossroads. The decisions we make, whether they strengthen democracy or undermine it or diminish further public confidence, will shape Nigeria's political future and the welfare, the safety, and the dignity of our people, and indeed of future generations. As someone privileged to serve this great nation in various roles, as a diplomat, navigating the complexities of international relations at the UN, as foreign minister, yes, foreign minister, 41 years ago, at a very difficult period of our history, and also a professor of political science, international relations, and finally as chief of staff to the president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces, I've been at various vantage points to see the world as it is, not as we want it to be, and Nigeria as it is, not as we want to be. Because the Nigeria we want to be has to be work in progress. Has to be work in progress. You know, sometimes people ask me, how come China has coherent foreign policy? How come Russia has coherent foreign policy? How come India has coherent foreign policy and sometimes we are struggling? And I said simply, when China speaks, it speaks on behalf of Chinese. India speaks of Indians. The French speak for French. But many times, when you are speaking for Nigeria, it's which Nigeria are you speaking for? In whose interests are you serving? To what purpose are you there for? And I think the biggest honor that I've had, and which I want to share with you today, is to, after all the sojourns, to have been given the opportunity to serve as the Chief of Staff to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There you see Nigeria in all its complexities, all the ups and downs. But one thing that I speak to you about today is a concerned citizen, as a concerned citizen, who watched with great alarm as voter turnout has dropped from 69% in 65% in 2003 to a troubling 25% in the 2023 election. From, I repeat, 69% voter turnout in 2003 to 25% in 2023 election. And therefore, I invite us not just to listen to a lecture by an old professor, an old diplomat, but as a concerned citizen of Nigeria that is troubled by the fact that the voters seem to be losing confidence in the system. And there's nothing worse to preserve a system than when a sizable proportion of the population begin to lose faith and trust in the system. You can have the best policies, but if there's a fundamental deficit in trust, then there's a problem. Now, I've written a 44-page paper. Relax, I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to read it because this is more than an academic setting, even though we're in University of Ibadan, even though we are in the Institute of Peace, but this is also a political gathering to celebrate the legacy of a distinguished senator and former lead governor. It's also an event for all of us to think on the kind of Nigeria we want and what it takes to get into place that Nigeria we want. Because we all know what we want. And we want the best for our country. If anybody doubts that Nigeria wants the best for its country, just watch us play soccer. All Nigerians want Nigeria to win, don't we? Am I right? Nigeria doesn't take last. We don't want to be last in anything. We want to win. And we want to win with the best team possible. We don't care whether they are Hausas, Igbo, Yoruba. We want to win. Nigeria cannot win with democracy unless we begin to see ourselves more and more as Nigerians, first and foremost, and speak for Nigeria and be proud to speak about Nigeria. But to do that, those to whom responsibilities are handed must also make us proud of their activities. We have to see in them the vision of our future. But I want to also draw attention briefly to the fact that we cannot see the future unless we review very briefly our past. Because democracy did not start in Nigeria in 2003 or 2007, 2011, 2015, 2023. We've had the First Republic, we have the Second Republic, we have the Third Republic, we have the Fourth Republic. And it's important to look back because, as somebody said, if you cannot be sure where you are going in the democratic process, if you don't know from where you are coming. And there are some lessons to learn from all these republics to which I have mentioned. And there are about, I've noticed there are just about 4 lessons. I'm not going to go into the First Republic, Second, Third, Fourth Republic, but what are the lessons that we've learned or we should learn from the experiences of the past? The first, that election rigging doesn't benefit anyone. You can rig election and win, because there was a time in the past when people would say, whether you vote for us or not, we are going to win. Well, you can win, but what happens? Disaster follows. Election rigging leads to disaster. Second lesson, military rule is not the answer. Because what has happened is that when the military take over, they become bad soldiers and bad politicians and bad administrators because they are not trained for it. And prolonged military rule does not sustain any democracy or democratic system or institutions. Third, and please listen very carefully to what I'm about to say. One-party rule I'm going to pause until greetings end. Because we're gathered here for a serious purpose. The future of our country is at stake. One-party rule does not endure. I know Aremo Oshoba, remember, when the MPC, the dominant party in the Fourth Republic, they did not originate the division in the action group, but they took advantage of it because they thought that they could become the dominant party. Where did that take us? It ended up in a military coup, and the rest is history. MPN was saying they were going to rule for how many years? 30 years. Single party. Where did that end? Collapse. Okay? PDP said they were going to rule for 30 years. What is happening? They are disintegrating before our eyes. So I am not worried about one party that people are concerned, oh, we are moving towards one party. It will not last. It will not work. And you know the reason? Nigeria is too full of ambitious politicians that one party cannot contain. And where there is no division, they will create it within themselves. So what we need to do is not worry about one party system. It will not happen. And if it happens, it will lead to disaster. So it should be avoided. It will lead to disaster. Because people have forgotten that there was a time before the end of the Cold War when one party states, socialist governments, exclusionary policies was the norm. But what happened? Soviet Union collapsed, USSR collapsed, Berlin Wall came down, the Cold War was over, and multi-party system re-emerged. So the future belongs to multi-party system. That's what builds stability, not pursuit of a single party system. It will not last. And prevention is better than cure, because the cost of not preventing is extremely high. Now, because I promised you that I'm not going to read 44 pages, I'm going to just summarize for you so that you remember, and then we can have a discussion. What are the persistent challenges to electoral credibility in Nigeria? The first, I've mentioned voter apathy. People are just apathetics. And the voter turnout continues to drop. And we have to go to the root causes of voter apathy. There was a time people used to be very excited about going to vote because there was trust in the system. There was trust in the leadership of the political parties. Second, there was the expectation that the promises that the parties make and the leaders make will be fulfilled. They know who the leaders are. Now, how many people in this hall, let us be honest, know who the leaders of the several political parties in Nigeria today by name? I think by the last count, there are about 100 political parties wanting to be registered. Few of us will know who is the current chairman of 4 political parties in Nigeria. So how can you have trust in people you don't even know their origins, their pedigree? You don't know them. And they say, follow me. Follow you to where? And who are you to say we should follow you? What have you demonstrated in terms of capacity? One of the reasons the Chinese system has endured, before you become chairman of the Communist Party and president of the country, they will first give you some regions to go and administer first. See how you do. If you do well, they move you to a larger district. If you do well, they move you to the presidency. So there has to be a record of accomplishment when we are deciding who are the leaders of political parties, and who will go. Otherwise, they won't be able to fulfill the promises. Now, you also remember, some of us who are old enough, that when we had proper political parties, there were members they have membership card, they pay dues, they participate in who the party selects to stand for elections. Even the most powerful leaders, Chief Awolowo, Azikiwe, Sardana, they can't just impose candidates. They have caucuses, they have processes. And so if we want to build trust in the party system, we then have to look at the deficit, what I call the poverty of democracy in our political parties, and the poverty of internal politics. I know that people are still talking behind there. We'll ignore them. But those who have come to listen and to participate, please remember that you cannot give what you don't have. Political parties who do not practice internal democracy cannot give Nigeria democracy that endures. You can't give what you don't have. It used to be said in Ilorin that if I promise to give you an babariga or agbada, it's right for you to look at what I'm wearing myself, because I can't give you better than what I have. So unless we really take the reform of political parties seriously, we'll be going round and round in circles. And it's doable. It's doable. And to me, the primary impediment to durable democracy in Nigeria is the absence of internal democracy in our political parties. Secondly, there's no consequences. Now, you are APC in the morning, PDP in the afternoon, back to APC in the evening. No consequences. Because the signal you are giving is that there's no difference. So why should people line behind political parties for which there are no real differences in terms of ideology, in terms of what they stand for, in terms of record of achievement, in terms of vision? And also, the institutional weaknesses of INEC, with some of the gains made, are considerable, but we have not fully implemented the Uwais report. You recall that when Yar'Adua was elected president, he confessed, an honest man, he confessed, said, this election that brought me to power is flawed. How many presidents have done that? To say, okay, I'm president, but this process is flawed. You know, that's how you build trust and confidence. And he then said, set up the Uwais Commission, Justice Uwais, the late Chief Justice of the Federation. Gave a report. How far have we implemented the Uwais report? Because if you do not address the root causes of voter apathy, if you don't read the root cause of election that does not really reflect the will of the people, then you are going to have considerable damage to the democratic process. So, where do we go from here? I have proposed a number of reforms. First, how to democratize candidate selection in political parties. How to enhance internal democracy within political parties. How to also reduce the cost of politics. Now, those of us here, I'm assuming that we're honest ladies and gentlemen. How many people are happy about how much it will cost if somebody, let's say an unknown person, Ibrahim Gambari, wants to be governor of Kwara State? If I want to be governor of Kwara State, let's say, with all this thing about former this and former that, you need not less than 2 billion naira to stand a chance. That is the truth, at least. Not to even mention to be president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. One of the things I believe that President Tinubu enjoys, no other president of Nigeria, by the way, has been rich enough to finance his own campaigns. I think he's probably the first. Look at all of them. So if you are not rich enough to finance your own campaign, how do you get there? Except you have to have a lot of money, and then you'll be indebted to the people who pay the money. And that led to the kind of godfatherism that we cry about, but that's the reality. But what godfatherism does is to make candidates lazy. You don't have to campaign. You don't have to have performed previously. You rely on your godfathers. Again, I come from Kwara State. For a long time, Saraki family dominated the politics of my state. They were the godfathers. That's the reality. But then that excused anybody from trying on their own. That excused anybody from demonstrating capacity. And the earlier we change that, the better. Ideological differentiation and issue-based politics must be there too, so that, we know there's a difference. I think it was Babangida who once attempted that, but then, of course, he created 2 political parties. But at least the thing that was good about it is, say, give them some orientation, a little to the left and a little to the right. So that when you belong, at least you know where you are belonging is dominated by the politics of the right. It's just that what was unfortunate is that these were artificially created political parties. Civil society and mass and media watchdog. The civil society organizations in Nigeria, they are only civil society in name for most of the time. They are not civil. I'm not sure even if they are societies. I say this because I also belong now to a civil society organization, but it means there's a lot of work to be done. We have to do more about being a watchdog and speak up. If somebody is doing well, we say they are doing well. If they are not doing well, we say they are not doing well. And be courageous to do so. So, in order to enhance the electoral system and trust in the party political competition, we have to educate the public, we have to have civil education, we have to have public education campaigns. Annex should also be part of that. We have to have digital tools and innovation in technology that will make the process of voting more credible. And then, above all, we have to target programs for marginalized groups. Who are the marginalized groups? Women. You know, we are not doing well at all. Do you know that we have not in Nigeria, with all our education, we have not managed to elect a single woman as governor of any state. 36 states in Nigeria. And interestingly enough, guess who are the closest? Thanks, so. Guess who are the closest? The so-called backward north. They are the ones that were closest to electing women as governors. Where are the South? With all the education, all the professors. There are some states in the South that per square yard, they are PhDs. Nobody has come close to electing just governors out of 36. In the National Assembly, if you go to Rwanda, they had a tragic civil war. In 1994, lost 1 million people, mostly men died. So anyway, the women fill the gap. Do you know they have the highest percentage of women members of the House of Parliament in the world? In the world. You know, where are we? So if we are not able to elect a woman as a governor of any of the 36 states, how long will it take to elect a woman as president of Nigeria? Definitely not in my lifetime. And when you write off a whole segment of your population, the youth of this country, not too old to vote, not too young to run, but slogan rather than reality. So the youth, the women, special effort must be made to increase their representation in parliament, in governance, and in the political party affairs. And then also the diaspora, the Nigerian diaspora. Do you know that the Nigerian diaspora, in a sense I'm a diaspora myself, because I spent about 36 years of my life in the diaspora. I mean, to disenfranchise those Nigerians is wrong. And you have India, you have Egypt, they have practiced giving the enfranchising them. All we want from our Nigerian diaspora is their money. What they send to us, which incidentally is more than $21 billion a year, more than all the aid that the Europeans are giving us. But we want their money, but we don't want their votes to count. In fact, we don't want to give them a voice. So I believe that the time has come when the choice before us must be faced. And therefore, I'm coming to the conclusion of my presentation. I promise you, I'm not reading 44 pages. So imagine if I read 44 pages. And here is what I'm saying, that we find ourselves at crossroads. One path leads further into democratic decline, erosion of trust, growing voter apathy, increased acceptance of authoritarian rule, and the risk of instability or even state collapse. And by the way, let me warn you, fellow Nigerians, to say that it can't happen here. Chief Segun Asoba, Arema, please remember, when we had the first coup in Nigeria in January 66, what did Nkrumah say? Nkrumah said Abubakar Tafawa Balewa fell because he didn't understand the forces at play in Nigeria. So it can't happen in Ghana. Well, soon after, coup in Ghana. West Africa is coup-prone. As I speak, about 6 countries in West Africa have left or are leaving. Although, in my view, we contributed, it is on our watch that an organization we created, ECOWAS, 50 years old, we spent our money and our blood to create ECOWAS. Do you know that ECOWAS, ECOMOG, in 1999 January, well, quote me, you know how many soldiers we lost in Sierra Leone so that Sierra Leone can be at peace. 800 Nigerian soldiers died in 1 month. Quote me. Which other country in the world will, the Americans lost 17 soldiers in Somalia, and they said never again will an American soldier die in an African conflict. But with 800 Nigerians died. So the organization we built, the organization we financed, the organization for which we shed blood, the organization which was responsible for Sierra Leone being what it is today, Liberia being what it is today, without us they would not be there. 3 of the members have left under our watch. Although I do say, I tell those 3 countries, you can leave ECOWAS, but can you leave West Africa? That's my message to them, quietly. You can leave ECOWAS, but can you leave West Africa? And the challenges facing West Africa can only be addressed and solved by collective action. Terrorism, youth unemployment, environmental degradation. So it's a question of time. They are going to be back if we play our diplomacy right. I'm not suggesting you should go to Niger or Cameroon or Chad, even though I believe in the concentric circle of our Nigerian foreign policy, whereby the centerpiece of Nigerian foreign policy is Nigeria, not Africa, Nigeria, our prosperity, our security. And next is our neighbors, immediate neighbors. Next is ECOWAS countries. Next is Africa, and then the rest of the world. But nonetheless, we have to pay attention to diplomacy so that we can bring them back. Because our prosperity, our status in the world, and our security depends on collaboration. So I'm suggesting that we go back to basics. Let's look at how political parties used to function in Nigeria in the First Republic. Membership cards, involvement in selection of candidates, parties with distinct identity, and then we restore trust in the system and therefore preserve the possibility of democracy thriving in Nigeria. Because the alternative is horrendous. Let me give you an example. God forbid anything happen to Nigeria. Mass displacement, economic collapse, humanitarian crisis, regional instability, security vacuum. President Rawlings once went, again you can quote me, he went to a meeting with John Major when he was president of Ghana at the Downing Street. 1 hour was allotted. He spoke for 45 minutes about how Britain should work so that Nigeria does not collapse and that crisis in Nigeria should not get out of hand. So John Major asked him, don't you have something peculiar to Ghana you want to discuss with me? First official visit. He said, no, the best way to save Ghana is to preserve Nigeria, because God forbid anything happens to Nigeria, there will be no Ghana. Because guess what? They are not going to stop if they are to move a mass, a sizable number. They are not going to stop in Benin. They are not going to stop in Togo. Guess where? They are headed in Ghana. So it's important not just for ourselves and for our future, but it will affect our whole region. And the promise of success, if we have a system that works, system that we have confidence in, political parties that are reformed, electoral system that is free and fair, then our national prosperity will be enhanced, security and stability will be enhanced, regional leadership will enhance, our global influence will enhance, and the human beings in Nigeria will flourish. Don't forget, it wasn't long ago that, again, those who are following events, there was a time Nigeria was flexing its muscle that we are going to use our oil weapon. When we had oil weapon to use, now we are called countries, shithole countries, disgraced Nigeria, countries of particular concern. No, there's no way in which we can reverse that and enhance our global influence standing so that they will not think of ever referring to us in contemptuous terms. And that is the only basis in which Nigeria can be a permanent member of a reformed and expanded Security Council. Some people think that this is a joke. You know why we deserve to be a permanent member of the Security Council because it guarantees our security. And have we ever seen any of the permanent members fighting among themselves? Have we ever seen any country attacking any of the veto-wielding members of the Security Council? So, but to get that, and I'm warning, because if we are not careful, if we continue to go the way we are going, you know, when 2 permanent seats are given to Africa, guess who will get it? We can't take it for granted. It could be Egypt and South Africa. So we have to put our house in order. We have to translate our contribuable human and material resources into positive results. And I want to close by a conversation. I was present when Perez de Cuellar, who was the Secretary General of the United Nations before Bruce Gali, he visited Nigeria first week of Buhari administration coming to power, January 1984. And Buhari asked him, Mr. Secretary General, we are new in government. You are the Secretary General of the United Nations. What advice would you give to us? We have just overthrown a democratically elected government. You know what Perez de Cuellar said? And please listen carefully. He said, Mr. President, head of state, he said, I come from Peru. So what I'm about to say, don't take it wrongly. But people used to say of Peru that Peru is a potentially powerful and rich country. But they have been saying that for 400 years. Don't let it be said of Nigeria that Nigeria is a potentially powerful and rich country, and they continue to say that for the next 100 years. Your people can't eat potential. They want reality. And the time is now. And all of us must do it. Thank you very much for listening.
That is the vintage Professor Ibrahim Bangambari for us. Thank you so much, sir. Another round of applause for our professor. Professor Gambari is over 81, over 80, let me say over 80 years. Over 81. He's over 81. And I was discussing the mode of presentation with him. And I said he should make this presentation sitting down. He said no, that he will make the presentation standing. Some of us are just above 60. If you want to punish us, ask us to stand up for more than 1 hour. So thank you, sir. The good Lord will continue to strengthen you. You've given us a lot to chew. And I understand you must get back to Abuja today. So we will start the discussion. And I crave the indulgence of the sponsors of this meeting to allow you to take your exit when you are ready. You served us enough meal to manage. Thank you so much, sir. We'll continue the discussion. Esheokwo, sir. Thank you, sir. As Professor Gambari said, Mrs. Akonde, please, can you will help us to cut this cake, but you can also join us. Okay. The chairman, sir, Your Excellency, Ejo Ewa. After this, then. Oh. Please. Everybody. Please, take this.
Your Excellencies, shall we have all those on the front row to join in this photograph taking, please? All the deputy governors, the honorable ministers, please. Shall we join, please, quickly? Thank you. The representative of the president, please. Yeah, thank you. The former deputy governors, thank you. The Aloja General, please, man, please join us. The KBACs, please join us. Can you hold on? The KBACs, please join us. Yes, please. Let's get the KBACs join. Just one. Uma tells it 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So, Bashi,
I'm not Iyaloja, Yellow Day of Lagos.
Yellow Day of Lagos, man. Can you please join, please? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, cameramen, quickly, as we use this opportunity to recognize the presence of the Ogun State Governor, represented by High Excellency Engineer Noimot Salako Oyedele, Deputy Governor of Ogun State. Also representing the Governor of Lagos State, our brother Benga Motosho, Honorable Commissioner for Information and Strategy. We also have here members of the Oyo State APC, Honorable Salami Waliu, Minority Leader, Honorable Shitu Ibrahim, Honorable Lukman Jimdi, or Jimo, pardon me, Honorable Aziz Musbao. They are all of the APC Oyo State House of Assembly, and Information Commissioner Oyo State, Chief Dr. Oyelade. We can proceed. All right, also Chief Dr. Mrs. Bintu Fatima Tinubu, Yellow Day of Lagos. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's settle down, please. Okay. Now, we want to start the discussion. Please, let's settle down. As Professor Gambari said, we are here for a very serious business. So, we will start the discussion now. Yes. Our elders are begging us to sit down. Our elders are begging us to sit down. Our elders are begging us to sit down. Please, let's sit down, please. Those who want to go out should go out. Hello, our elders are begging us to sit down. Hello, the chairman of this occasion is begging us to please calm down. Asking you to address. As the chairman, we start by asking you to address us. Because as the chairman, I address you. Okay. Now, we are starting with Professor Bade Ojo, and we have listened to the presentation of Professor Gambari, and I want you to help address a very simple question. Are our political parties in Nigeria fit for purpose? And in answering that question, you can branch to different places. But are the political parties fit for purpose? We are saying this because it's impossible for you to have election without good political parties. Those that we have in Nigeria, are they fit for purpose?
I am standing on the existing, already established protocol because of time, within 5 minutes. Let me start by saying that as a political scientist, none of our political parties in Nigeria today qualify to be defined as a political party. Not a single one qualified. The elementary definition of a political party for us as a political scientist is association of people with like minds. But when you have people not with like minds, with the gale of defections from APC to PDP, from PDP to APC, it means there is a fundamental problem of ideological fluidity. Politicians don't know why they belong to any specific political party. The only motive is to win election. Not only that, when you look at party membership, if you want to run a political party, all members must be financial members. That is the way it was in the First Republic. You are not a member of a party because you registered in your ward and you have not contributed a dime. Currently, our political parties are financially weak. Only money back dictates the tune. A political party that cannot sponsor opinion poll to know that in 2027 they can win an election with a particular candidate or not is another problem. One fundamental issue addressed by the lead speaker that we all know is lack of internal democracy. None of the political parties in Nigeria today can boast of internal democracy, even from the world level. Let me give you a simple figure. In 2023, that we had an election, the last presidential election, 93,469,000 registered to vote. At the end of the day, 24,900,000 voted, right? And APC as a ruling party claimed that they have registered 43 million members. Can you imagine propaganda? If you have registered 43 million members and 8 million plus voted for the candidate of the party, automatically the party was built on propaganda and online. That is the situation with all political parties. Ordinarily, a political party should not be weak in terms of administration. Who is the party chairman? Does he know what is expected of him? When I was invited into government, I started as special advisor political matters. I organized a workshop for public office functionaries on mobilization for election. And I approached the party at the state level. Let me organize a workshop for party exco. I am happy Baboka is sitting down here. Let me organize a workshop for the party on how to have a strong winning machine so that the party would not die or collapse after an election. They said they have been doing all this from the time of Awolowo. The Awolowo era is different from our contemporary era. The way things are now is that our political parties are getting weaker on daily basis, right? And not a single one of them qualified to be so described as a political party. People go into election blindly. I used to tell my guy, we don't go to election blindly. Let us go to election scientifically. We can know what is going to happen in 2027 as a political scientist. A party can conduct opinion poll that 4 people are interested in becoming a governor. Who should we field? If I supervise them, I will advise a party that, look, if you field A, you will lose. If you field B, you will lose. If it is C, you will win. But parties are not interested in research, in science, in empiricism. The later development is a fear in the country that we are moving towards a one-party state. No, it is not one-party state, right? In as much as the Electoral Act registered many political parties and the law allow INEC to deregister any party that cannot perform, that is not performing, then it is not a one-party state. However, in a federal system of government that we operate, there should be many political parties. Look at Anambra. Abga has been winning election there. It was like the Second Republic. UPM was winning in the Southwest. So our political parties are not properly organized, weak party administration, lack of ideology, ideological fluidity. And that is why politicians are desperate about getting tickets. Whether they will lose general election or not, they don't care. They are not even interested in contacting people that could guide them. Their own intention is, give me the ticket and forget about it. And when they get the ticket, they waste it because they have not done what they should do. And there is a limit to which money can do it. How many people do you approach? When 93 million people register to vote, can you give money to 93 million people to come and vote for you? So parties should be properly organized so that political parties can be a winning machine. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you very much. So, the simple message you have passed across is that our political parties should be reformed. Now, we would ask you later to tell us how these political parties can be reformed. I will invite Kemi to help us address this issue of re-engineering citizens. We have been told by Professor Gambari that people are no longer interested in Nigeria elections. And he called attention to the outcomes of our 2023 elections. You know, it's like the system is becoming detached from the society. Is it possible for us to continue this way? So please, I will give the mic to you. Talk to us on it. 5 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. So looking at the
detachment between the citizens and the electoral system. I think we need to look at it from different lenses. Within the system in Nigeria now, we have about 4 generations that would participate in the electoral system. You have the boomers, you have Generation X, you have the millennials, and then you have Gen Z. Not one lens fits all. The way you would engage with the boomers, which is the generation of my father, the chairman's generation, is totally different from the way you would engage with Generation X, which is my generation. And it's totally different with the way you would engage with millennials and Gen Z. Why am I giving this differentiation? We collect electoral cards. We register with INEC for different reasons. Some people register with INEC and have the voter's card because it's a means of identification. It's a valid means of identification. But it is not seen as a means of engaging with the electoral process. For those, if you look at the social media and use the social media as an anchor for engagement, you'll find more millennials and Gen Zs on social media. On the day of elections, they are not out to vote. They do all their activism on the social media. When I was coming this morning, I'd looked at my search map. I had said 1 hour, 30 minutes, drive down from Lagos to Ibadan. We got 20 minutes to the venue, the car got spoiled. When the car got spoiled, a rickety car gave me a ride as far as the toll gate, and then one old man, I got into his cab and brought me here. What am I saying? You saw the different ways in which I took to arrive at this venue. That is the different ways in which we need to be innovative and engaging with different strata. Nigerians are not homogeneous. When we now look at women, when you say women are not participating, is it easy for women to participate? And I dare say that women participate. Women participate as cheerleaders. Women participate as welfare. Women participate to give support. However, are they participating as per they are eligible to be voted for? That is where we have a challenge. And we need to look at it and say, do we want to be intentional and deliberate? We have to be intentional and deliberate about it. And I look at the Not Too Young to Run campaign. When we looked at the Not Too Young to Run campaign, even now, the Not Too Young to Run campaign is being dominated by the young men. The young women are not part of the Not Too Young to Run campaign because as a nation, we're not inclusive. We're not deliberate. We're not intentional. Inclusivity comes for us at the end of the game when we're not looking at marking up the numbers. But if you're looking at impact, Nigeria is yet to come to the place of inclusivity and engagement. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I will invite Professor Nathaniel Danjibo to answer a very simple question. How do we restore trust in Nigerian democracy? Because what everybody seems to be saying is that we have a serious problem of trust deficit. We don't trust those who represent us. Those who represent us don't trust us. We don't trust the government. The relationship between the state and society very weak. So how do we restore trust in the system?
Thank you, sir. Again, standing on the existing protocol, when democracy came back to Africa, and we're talking about the third wave democracy, where most African states started embracing democracy. And for us in Nigeria, 1999, and prelude to 1999, if we follow the activities, we realized that we had a very vibrant civil society. All right. Hello. Your Excellency, the President of the Ajimobi Foundation. I don't know, let me just speak my mind on behalf of our institute. I will crave your indulgence for us to be having this program in 2 days. 1 day for the intellectual discourse and the second day for politicians. Because we realize that anytime we're doing this serious business, the politicians will come and overshadow us. So let us give them designated day for them. Then we can have our own, specific day for intellectual discourse. Is it approved? Okay. It's all right. You're welcome, the governor of Imo State. All right, so I was saying that the prelude to democracy in Nigeria was ushered in by some vibrant activities of the civil society group, especially the press. But as soon as we became democratized, in quotes, the civil society went to sleep, the vibrant press went to sleep. And when you look at the things that are happening around Africa, and which, the guest speaker talked about, especially in West Africa, citizens started losing interest in democracy. And given the statistics that he rolled out, even for this country, a particular election, we had 69 point something, and then as at the last election, we're having barely 23. It tells you that we are facing a very serious and a very dangerous path. Very dangerous path. Because the ordinary citizens actually know what democracy is. They know the expectation of a democratic society, leading ultimately to good governance. So it is good governance that will give them food on the table. It is good governance that will give them good educational institutions. It is good governance that will give them good health facilities and so forth and so forth. But when you look at the experience of democracy in West Africa, and especially in Nigeria, what do we find? We find a contrast. We had embraced a democracy that only stopped with the periodic conduct of elections. So for us, in West Africa and particularly in Nigeria, when we say democracy, what we actually mean is just election. As soon as elections are conducted, the business of democracy ends. Nobody is pursuing the actual cause of good governance in terms of we want to set targets, we want to have good roads, we want to have rails, we want to have good hospitals, we want to have good educational institutions, we want to feed our people. And so that created a serious elastic gap between those that are ruling and then the citizens that should engage in the democratic practice. And that should be the beneficiaries of what we refer to here in Nigeria in our lexicon as the dividends of democracy. Between 1999 and now, what we have succeeded in doing in the name of democracy is to collapse the class structures that we had. In those days, you had the upper class, you had the middle class, you now have at least the class of those that were hopeful. Now we had the democracy that we had imbibed, had eroded the middle class, had forgotten the class of the downtrodden, and then we're talking about an elitist democracy. Where did I get this? Before His Excellency died, Senator Abiola Ajimobi, we had a discussion about this democracy, and he said, well, from his own understanding, democracy in Nigeria had become elitist. It was not actually for the people. And as long as the people don't have access to the dividends of democracy, there would continue to be a decline in the interest of democracy. And so let's not take it for granted, like the lead speaker said. In Burkina Faso, it was the people that came out and said they didn't want democracy, that they wanted military rule. Subsequently, that is what you are going to find happening in most African states. Yeah, because the democracy that we thought was going to alter the lives of the citizens for the better is actually the one that is enslaving the people, except for the few that would have access to a civil rule called democracy, you know, in terms of the conduct of election and how fraudulently it is, we don't care. So it should begin with the sanctification of the electoral process. I, as a student of politics with my senior and teachers here, had actually concluded that democracy cannot develop African states. That's the truth. So let us not come and pretend that democracy is going to give us the kind of development that we're expecting. No, because when we even do some statistics, take the last 10 years of military rule, compare it with the first 10 years of democracy, there's nothing to compare in terms of development, infrastructure, and state security. Because these rules called democracy, you know, ultimately is pushing citizens, and especially Nigerians, to question, is it actually democracy that we want, or is it good governance? Can democracy give governance, good governance? If it is not going to give good governance, then citizens would ultimately look for an alternative that will provide good governance. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I realize that all of us that have spoken so far are scholars, starting from Professor Gambari, who trained many of us, up to Professor Danjibo. And to me, it looks like a one-way discussion. It's like we're engaging in what we call monologue of the deaf. If you're a deaf person, you think you are making a good statement and you think people are listening to you. But when you are talking to yourself sometimes, the society is left out. And therefore, I want to pass this mic to His Excellency, Chief Osoba, who is the chair of today's meeting. And what we have begged him to do is to help us identify a number of politicians in this assembly and our royal fathers to contribute to this discussion. Now, many years ago, a former head of state came to this university. We were doing a book presentation. I did a book. And one of the reviewers criticized me. So this former head of state came to me and said, Albert, are you all right? I said, no, this is what we earn our living by attacking ourselves. So we are not, there is no problem here. You are surprised because you are an outsider. Sir, we have spoken as outsiders. Let me pass this mic to you to help us coordinate this discussion. Let us have the flavor of those of you who have gone into the fire, because politics is like you are entering into a furnace. Only very smart people come out of it unscattered. So let me pass the mic to the chair of this occasion to help us coordinate the rest of the discussion. Your Excellency, sir.
Professor Dajwa was asking me whether I want to sit down. I said at 86, my legs are still all right. I'm sure the representative of the, first of all, I want to welcome from across the Niger, one of our most respected governor, who is the governor of who is the chairman of the progressive governor, our own Governor Hope. and there is hope for Nigeria. Hope Uzodima, I welcome you all the way from the east to this. God bless you. I'm sure the representative of the president, Dr. Zach Ayedeji, will agree with me that we should keep protocol. Thank you very much. God is speaking for the president. Now, before I speak, I want to apologize. We got into Ibadan at 10 o'clock. When we got to Ring Road and turning right at Yagoku Junction towards Jericho, we spent 40 minutes. I think that was a breakdown. After Dugbe, it was smooth drive until we got into this compound again, another 20 minutes. So I apologize that I came a little bit late. But before I speak, may I request all of us to please let us give a standing ovation to the person of the day, Our Excellency Fatima Florence Ajimobi, who is now double excellency. She's excellency as former First Lady, and only ambassadors and governors are entitled to be addressed as excellency. She is now going to earn the second excellency as ambassador. May we rise up and give a standing ovation to our incoming ambassador, designate Florence Ajimobi, the matriarch of the Ajimobi family, who has called all of us here to a successful ceremony today. Thank you. Well, the relationship between me and my junior brother, Senator Governor Abiola Ajimobi, started with the father. The father and I were very, very close, and the father was a very strong, dedicated Awoist. I'm sure Oka is here. We all serve Gani Ajimobi, myself, okay, who is there? We all serve under Bola Ige. I was the managing director of Sketch in Ibadan, and the father was an honorable member of the assembly, and he was a dedicated Awoist. And that's the legacy that Abiola Ajimobi continued till he passed away. Now, again, as a family, my family and the Ajimobi family are very close. My wife's best friend is Abiola Ajimobi. Why? Gentlemen, please, can you sit down? Thank you. You see, only a few people are giving us Danjuma. We politicians, we are very serious people, though. Very, very, and we are intellectual too. Before I became governor, I managed 3 major newspapers in this country: the Herald, the Sketch, and the Daily Times. So you cannot say that we too we are rage. Ajimobi was a giant in the oil business before he became governor. So we are also serious. It's only a few people who are just loitering around. Gentlemen in beige, sit down. So Ajimobi continued the relationship, and most people don't understand him. He's a very warm-hearted, jovial, and friendly person. Each time he comes to my house, and can be very, very mischievous. He will ask my wife, Egbon is always quarreling with me. Ask him, what is the cause of the quarrel between me and him? Why is Egbon always quarreling with me? Just to embarrass me. Because in our younger days in Ibadan, we knew what we did together. I won't say that before Lady Florence here. So he will continue to ask my wife, ask uncle, what is it that is making him to always be annoyed with me? Why is he annoyed with me? Neither of us can say because of the annoyance. But First Lady Florence understood, and my wife understood, the cause of the disagreement. It's a question of ladies between us. And he will say, well, you see, Uncle was paying, and we were managing them. That's Ajimobi for you. Now, people don't also understand him. When he used the word that is very common now, constituted authority, he was joking. And I mean, definitely the governor is the constituted authority of the state. That was all he was saying. We are talking to the governor. He said, I am the constituted. Is he not qualified to be the constituted authority? He won election, he was sworn in, he was governor, and everybody is saying, why is he saying constituted authority? That's Ajimobi for you. Very jovial. And today, I want to thank Ambassador Florence Ajimobi for keeping the legacy, for doing everything. God will bless you. Your children in your presence are doing very well. They are functioning at the federal level. You on merit, not because you are Ajimobi's wife, on your own merit. Because when the president was discussing the ambassador, and he gave us the list, me and Baba Kode, and we saw your name and that of Angela Adebayo. We were very, very excited that the president has come to recognize you. And I'm sure, just like your husband was successful, you also will be successful by the grace of God. Now, we are here today to celebrate a man who, where he is today, he will be smiling, he has gap-toothed teeth, and he will be joking. I said, mommy, okay, you must answer query today. But that's a very jolly fellow who worked hard and created record. Right from Bola Ige, nobody has ever had second term in Oyo State. Nobody, no governor. Lam didn't have it. Bola Ige didn't have it. Not that they were not popular. The thing was that the forces that be in 2003 did that work. And when you talk of democracy, it started from then. Because when we were elected, me and President Bola Tinubu in 1992, it was a clean, clear election. NRC, SDP. It was open ballot. You queue behind the picture of the man you wanted. The election was very clean, very clear, and we won on merit. In the days of AD, we won on merit. I have been governor under military and under civilian. In 1992, 33 years ago, I was governor under military, and I was governor in 1990. The best is still civilian, Professor Danjuba. These school people, in my days in school, those who went into military were the ones who didn't do well in class. In those days, then when they seized power, they now collected all the other kind, and they promoted them to become the rich people in Nigeria. That is where the corruption of politics started. But in the SDP and NRC, you never heard of anybody crossing from NRC to SDP. And it was open ballot. So when we are talking of the history of political development, civilian government is still the best. Because I knew how many times I was put in detention by the military. I don't think Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been putting anybody arbitrarily in detention. And I want to beg you, Nigeria shall be great, and we are on the path to greatness. Why? By the time the president came into power, Nigeria was bankrupt. Even the oil that had not been mined had been sold as the mortgage. But you wonder, why is the trillion of money now coming from? It is not from oil. We have the chairman of FIRS here, Zak Adedeji. We call him Chairman Gbogbowo. The money is coming through Zak. Why? The oil subsidy that was removed. The foreign exchange regime, multiple foreign exchange regime, I'm sure Kemi, former Minister of Finance, will agree with me that we used to have somebody who sit down, buy dollar at 100 naira a dollar, and will sell it immediately at 200 at a parallel market. It is the money that Bola Ahmed president saved from oil subsidy and multiple foreign exchange system that now created trillion that we are now sharing. What is left is for us to talk to the governors. They should pursue policies. No governor in this country is not earning trillion. Zach Adedeji knows that we are, my chairman of the progressive governor knows. Let our governors now let this economic performance at the top percolate to the grassroots. The grassroots need to feel the impact of the savings and the money that we're having. Local government must, I was happy. I read yesterday that a local government in Lagos is budgeting 9 billion for the year. 9 billion for a local government. That is like what we used to have in the state in the past. So I beg you, our chairman is doing very well. Hope Izodima is doing very well. Only last week, he held an economy summit and brought Boris Johnson. And Boris Johnson confirmed that Nigeria is doing well. Today, you can predict what will happen tomorrow in terms of your Naira content as an investor. So I want to appeal to all of us, let us query all our local government chairmen, all our governors, that they should put more money, 1, into agriculture, 2, infrastructure, 3, into security. Because without security, we cannot proceed. Now, I have some few things that I noted here. We are talking of failure of democracy. All of us sitting down here are the cause of the failure. And I mean it seriously. On the day of election, most professional, most elite don't take it as a holiday to sleep. We now leave it to the garage boys. To me, they are very important because every vote for them is important to me. We leave it to the garage boys. We leave it to our market, our women. I want to praise them. We leave it to our women. We ourselves, I don't know how many elites here has consistently been voting. And until we decide not only to vote, but to use our influence in our different areas to ensure that we'll mobilize people to vote for the right people, we will continue to debate. The answer is that all of us must be involved. I keep saying, it's a pity, after 2003, governorship became free for all. At the time I was governor, my colleagues, John Oyegu was a retired PAMSEC, Ezife was a retired PAMSEC, Seidu Bada in Katsina, a retired PAMSEC. We have had training as administrators. I had been in Sketch, Herald, at Daily Times. We didn't need to go and be taking what they now call technocrats. So I want to appeal to you that let all of us be involved. Kábíyèsí ẹ̀pẹ́ fún wa o, ìrẹ̀kẹ́ àdàbúrẹ́, olórí a máa ṣiṣẹ́ ìbí. But Baba, you also have roles to play, not in terms of partisan, but in terms of telling our people to go out and decide who should be their leaders and representatives. So today, I thank all of you. I feel very happy to be here because Abiola Ajimobi was to me a very fine, jolly Aburu. And his legacy is there. And you can see the performance. I've spoken about the children who God has blessed and are already in the system. Look at Zach Adedeji, was a prodigy of a product of Ajimobi. Today, by the time they form NRS, is going to be the biggest agency, bigger than Central Bank, and is doing very well The amount of money that we are getting now is coming from him. That's Ajimobi. That's another. And Adelabu was to be his successor. He was formerly Deputy Governor of Central Bank before he came into politics. He's here. People criticize him. Ban A. Ban A. Power. But whatever you like, there's reasonable stability in supply of power. But please do more to engage the public and let them know what you are doing. This is also a product of Ajimobi. So therefore, Ajimobi is not a failure. Now, they've asked me to call in some politicians. Of course, the governor of the progressive, the chairman of the progressive governor will speak. Zach is the representative of the president. He will be the last to speak because we cannot speak before the president. Mr. President, but he's a very clever person, you know. I'll give you a story. The day Dangote, the president came to commission Dangote's refinery. And whether it was Dangote or somebody said, the lion is here, Zach the lion. He immediately got up because there's only one lion, the lion of Bodilon. He quickly got up and went to the president and prostrated and said, no, lion, but what Zach forgot, KBS will agree with me. So the deputy governor of Oyo State will speak for the governor of Oyo. Adelabu will speak for the ministers. Oh, first of all. Okay. And Zach is talking for the president. He's talking for all of you for the federal. The governor of Anambra will speak. Igbo, Hope Uzodimma. So when we politicians finish with our business, I have my primate here, emeritus primate, because I went to Methodist Boys High School, Lagos. What I am today, the Methodist made me. Primate Makinde. Baba Ola Makinde is here. He will speak for our, as leader of our religion. Kabesi Shong is here. Kabesi will speak. Is that agreed by the House? Any objection? So, my governor, the greatest of them all, Great Hope Uzodimma of Imo State, chairman of the progressive governor. He has increased the number of governors so much. And when people are criticizing us, I want to go and read the Punch of 2015 in August. 35 senators and 60 House of Rep members defected from APC